Alrighty, everyone. Good morning. It is 11:16 actually. So we're going to get started with the consultation. So the client consultation is the discussion with the client that determines the client's needs and how to achieve the desired result. The consultation is one of the most important parts of any service and should always be done before starting the actual service. So before you're hands-on, you want to have this conversation. A consultation should be performed as part of every single service and shop visit. So anytime you work with a client, even if you've worked with them for the last 6 months, you want to do a consultation, albeit a reduced down version the longer you see the client, but you always want to open the conversation and have the dialogue about the client's wants and needs, which is essentially what the consultation is. Effective client consultations keep your clientele looking current, so people that are in need of your service, in need of your business, in need of your brand will stay on, while clients who are no longer able to achieve their results with you are able to fall off gracefully. It'll keep your clientele feeling good and above all else satisfied with the services that you're offering. If you're not performing a proper client consultation, then you're not in the same headspace as the client. Therefore, it's going to be more difficult for you to deliver what it is they're actually looking for if you don't know what it is they're looking for. So a happy client means rebookings and referrals for both the business and to you. To prepare for the client consultation, we want to have a couple of items on hand. Again, this is a conversation, so at minimum, you want to have a place to take notes. At maximum, you're going to want some items like this. So a pen and client intake form. For me, instead of using a pen and paper because I hate my handwriting, I'm going to use a digital client chart of some kind. For the school, on your student side of Linktree, there is a client chart button. If you click that, you can fill it out for every client, and there is a space to input the consultation information. A selection of styling books, pamphlets, literature, and or digital image that your client can look through. That's such outdated information. It's not old or unnecessary, but it's outdated in the way that it's formatted. Typically, what I tell my clients to do is show me a picture of what it is they're looking for. We are all on social media. We're all on the internet. We had a conversation about that this morning. We're all in these places. And a lot of times what it is we're looking for is actually inspired by something else. So by having your clients actually physically show you, this is the lash style that I'm looking for. This is what I want my eyes to look like. This is the hairstyle. This is the nail style. This is what I want my skin to look like. This is the service that I'm referring to. As much information that they can give you visually will help you identify what it is your client's actually asking for. So a client, for example, for lash extensions, might tell you in the consultation they're looking for a cat eye, but then show you a wispy doll eye or a mega volume or a classic. There's more information in a picture than you'll ever be able to get out from answering a question. So although styling books, pamphlets, literature are a little bit old school, essentially what you're saying is that you are going to be prepared to have the client show you visually what it is they're looking for. Material showcasing a variety of available service options. Again, pamphlets, a little bit outdated. I will say in a spa environment, the beauty of a pamphlet or some type of guide to your services is that when people are reading and inquiring about a service, they can actually read the description, the pricing, all the information of the service in one place. I want to go back to that. So let's move forward. And then after the next two, we'll go back to that. A portfolio of your work with before and after photos. An Instagram is perfect. Anywhere that you can digitally showcase your work. If you do have an Instagram and you choose to use that, a great way to do that is to create a saved story on your homepage and call it like portfolio or before and afters. And then every time you post one, automatically save it there. That way the client can comb through, eventually hundreds of versions of your work. A additional material that can help the client visualize potential results, such as treatment brochure, nail rings, hair swatches. These items are often provided by product manufacturers as selling tools. Another fun thing that I've seen done is I've seen people go in for what they call a color consultation so that they can learn their colors. And the stylist or the lash artist who was doing the consultation would have all the materials that they needed, but printed so that they can actually put the colors next to the client's skin and drape different pieces of fabric over them, so on and so forth. So for you as an esthetician, a lash artist, or a Cosmo or nail tech, whatever it is that you're actually specializing in, I would have physical versions of those things so that you can kind of allow the client to switch them out and try it on. One thing that would be really fun is in your initial first set for every client, you could have an extra charge or an extra fee, let's say $35 for a consultation. But in that consultation, they get to try on different styles of lash extensions that you have put on a strip lash. So for every client, let's say you have 4 main styles: classic, volume, hybrid, and mega volume, right? You've got 4 different versions of the style. But for each one of those, you have a cat eye version, you have a open eye, you have a reverse cat eye, and you have, what's another good one? A wispy set with spikes. Like, that's your 4 main lash styles. For each client, I'm going to charge a $35 fee, but you get to come in and actually try on the strip lashes. I provide you a mirror. I provide the strip lashes. We, place them on the lash line, allow you to look at them and kind of gauge what these styles would look like on the client. Of course, that's going to take time and effort, so I would charge for it. But imagine the experience that the customer is going to have by being able to visually see, oh, this is what a cat eye looks on me. This is what this looks like on me. Different type of real world scenarios where you can actually try things on and get a feel for how they look and how they feel. If you're an esthetician and you're going to recommend microdermabrasion or dermaplaning, doing a patch test of that service on another part of the body, the hands, the décolleté, as a free service during the consultation, so the client can get a feel for and see what it is they're actually getting for that upgrade. So I want to go back to, I believe it was materials showcasing a variety of available service options. And I was talking about pamphlets. When I was an esthetician, I had one price for my facial services, and essentially you got whatever you needed. So if you needed a chemical peel, you got a chemical peel. I'm sure you've all heard me tell this story numerous times. What I would do if you're going to go through pricing in that kind of format is I would have a pamphlet or book of some sort, something foldable that I could have available for the clients to look at that described each of the services in detail. So I would be able to have a script written for dermaplaning, a script written for nano needling, chemical peels, so on and so forth. So if the client is sitting in the waiting area, waiting for that consultation to get started so that they can do their service, then they've had an opportunity to read about some of the upgrades that you potentially will talk to them about. So when we do performing, selling, and upgrading, we're going to actually talk about that a little more in detail, like what information you need to know to confidently sell a product or service. But that's the material part is really nice, because if you have a sheet of paper like this, for example, with all of the upgrades, what's another one? High frequency, derma rolling, whatever it is, if they can pre-read this and be like, oh, that does sound intriguing. When I go in the service and say, I think it would really benefit from microneedling or dermaplaning, what I'm going to do is, while you are, I've read your form, while you're getting prepped for the service and relaxing, drinking your water or tea, I want you to read over some of the upgrades that we have to offer. Of course, we'll do a skin analysis and we'll talk about which ones are best for you, so on and so forth. So for the consultation, those are the items that you need to have prepared and ready to go. Now let's move on to the actual area where you're going to do the consultation. So it's the beauty professional's responsibility to find out the client's needs and to make the recommendations accordingly. So essentially, closed mouths don't get fed. If you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to get the right information. And ultimately, you can leave the client with a less desirable result or a less desirable experience. So the more you communicate with them, the better. To do this effectively, you will need a freshly cleaned and uncluttered workspace. Please make sure the product bottles, cans, jars are also clean. And the client should be able to look at themselves in a mirror without having to compete with sticky product bottles, labels, implements, tools. I recommend having a consultation area. If you have a salon suite, for example, having an area that is dedicated to taking before, after, and doing your consultation. Have a nice mirror, like a dressing station or place where the client can go and enter into the frame of mind of getting a beauty service. Like the lights are different there. There's a desk there for them. There's your samples are there for them. You have disposables ready to try on things and the whole 9 yards, right? I'd set up an actual place for that in my treatment room environment. If you don't have that availability based on space, then your treatment room as a whole can be your consultation area. Just make sure that it's presentable and ready to go for the information. While it may take time and effort to make your station aesthetically pleasing, the payoff of an effective consultation area is absolutely worthwhile. So having that distinguished place that this is where we talk and communicate versus this is where we go and we actually perform services, even if that space is only separated by a foot, from this side of the room to that side of the room, that's fine. But having that clearly defined area for consultation is going to be very beneficial to your business and your brand. One, it's going to differentiate the service for your client, and two, it's going to make it so that when you're in this mode, you're in investigative mode. When you're in the consultation area, you're gathering all the necessary data that you need so that when you step into that treatment, the selling, the upgrading, the performance of the actual service can go much more smoothly. So before we go into the brainstorming, the activity, does anybody have any questions over what I just read? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to give you guys, it's 11:27. I'm going to give you guys till, let's say 12 o'clock, 30 minutes to review the 10-step consultation method in the textbook. I think we have a question here, so I'm going to pull it up. To review the consultation method in the checkbook, kill me. In the textbook, we are in the Milady Foundations, Chapter 3, Communication for Success. I want you to pull that up, review the 10-step consultation method. Starts with review, and it goes all the way down to repeat. So from review all the way down to repeat, there's a formal 10-step method that we're going to go over, but I want to give you guys 20, 30, just about 30 minutes, review it. But what I want you to do specifically is take notes on each one of the steps. And I want you to ask yourself, why would I need to do this? So let's do the review portion first as an example. So we're going to do it as a group. Review portion first, and then I will have you do the same process for each of the other steps in the 10-step process. So review of the steps says 1, review. Review the intake form. Feel free to make comments that break the ice and initiate conversation with the client. Read the intake form carefully, referring to it often during the consultation process. Also make notes on the service record card. Some shops will have a joint intake form and service record card. After the service, record any formulations or products that were used and include any specific techniques or goals. This information will be needed for future visits. So what I want you to do is determine, why do I need to review the intake form? Well, I need to make sure there are no contraindications, no allergies, no things that may pose an issue to the services that they're already booked for or the services that I might recommend. Making notes on the record card is going to allow me to put my findings, put my assumptions, put my findings, and then put my final recommendations all in one place. It's also going to allow me to actually capture pertinent personal information about a client. An example would be a client comes in, they tell you they have 2 kids, Jack and Jill, 10 and 9 respectively. On my client consultation form or in my intake form, I'm going to put 2 kids, Jill, Jack, 10, 9 respectively. So Jill's 10, Jack's 9. She has 2 kids. They're the apple of her eye. The next time I see her, I'm going to say, "Hi, Miss Client, how are you? How's your skin been since our last appointment? How's work? How's life? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. I re-reviewed your consultation form. Everything still the same. Have you changed any medications? Have you received any additional treatment since the last treatment I gave you? Yes, no, okay, whatever, whatever. Also, how is, Jack and Jill?" Little information and personable touches make all the difference in the service. And going through the consultation is necessary because those are the kind of questions and that's the kind of information that you're going to gather. So for the next 9 steps in the 10-step consultation process, for every one of the steps, I want you to, on a sheet of paper, you can type it in the chat. It's up to you. Put step 1, review, and ask yourself and explain in detail why I need this information and why I need to do that. We're going to do that for all of them. It's 10:31. I'm going to come back at 12, and then I'm going to ask each one of you to share one of the items. I'm not going to tell you which one, so do them all. If you aren't able to participate, that's absolutely fine. Just drop off. Alrighty, we're going to get started. I will set a countdown timer. Perfect. So after a 30-minute session, who was able to get the other 9? If you were able to finish all 9, let me know or type it in the chat. If you were able to finish all of the remaining 9, let me know. If you were able to finish just 8, 7, whatever you were able to finish, go ahead and type it into the chat. And then I'll pick people from that. So the first person to enter how many they've finished will get to go, first down the line. I got on mine. Glory, perfect. Kristen, I got through 5. Perfect. So Kristen will be able to announce first, do the first one, which is assess, and then Glory will get to do preference. And then as you type into the chat, we'll go down from there. So let me make sure I got my volume up. I do. Perfect. So we left off with the review and the reasons why we would need to do the review portion of the 10-step consultation. Now let's look at assess. Assess says to perform a needs assessment, discover what the client's wants and needs. Start off by assessing the client's current style. Is it classic, avant-garde? For skin, are they looking to remedy a skin condition or relax and unwind? For nails, are the nails long, short, or somewhere in between? On and on for each of the different specialties. You are able to assess what the client is actually coming in with and kind of basing some information on that. What I will say about assess is that for the most part, even when someone is dressed down, they still have a particular style and they tend to show what's important to them. So when you are assessing a client, note that they may not be at their best, but essentially the things that they like, the things that they don't like are still going to typically show up in that room. So for Kristen, assessing the client's current lifestyle and status will help you make informed decisions and suggestions once you find out what the client is hoping to achieve. Absolutely, Kristen. So for Kristen, she says for assess, the reason we're going to do it is assess the client's current lash, skin, style, or status will help you make informed decisions and suggestions once you find out what the client is hoping to achieve. So I think that's absolutely correct. I hate to say judging in a way because that, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but ultimately the way we present ourselves to the world does tell a lot about us. And as a beauty professional, you have to judge your client without being judgmental. So yes, I have to judge, are they wearing name brand shoes? Do they prefer off-brand shoes? Do they have on a lot of jewelry? Do they have on a wedding ring? Do they have on makeup? Like, did they come to a facial appointment in makeup? Did they come to a lash appointment and one eye is completely wrecked and the other eye is fine? We have to make judgments, but we also have to maintain respect for our client and not judge them for how they look or how they smell, any of that stuff when they come in. So we want to gather information based on what it is we see. We also want to ask questions about the client and make sure that we understand where their frame of mind is. So why does it matter for you to get eyelash extensions? What's the benefit of eyelash extensions for you? Are you going on a trip? Is this your everyday look? Are you What kind of profession are you in? Asking and assessing the client from head to toe is going to make your recommendations and your suggestions work a lot easier and fit within the client's goals and needs. So that's perfect. Next, we have preference. Gloria, I'll have you do preference. You can type it in the chat or you can come on the audio if you'd like, but I'll read preference. So preferences, discover and rate the client's preferences. You don't have to use a rating system, but a rating system is one way that you can document. So we'll go with discuss and rate the client's preferences. This will help determine what services will best help the client. Here's a sample question that you could use. So how would you rate the manageability of your hair on a scale of 1 to 10, where one is poor and 10 is excellent? These numerical values will serve as a measuring tool for total customer satisfaction. Other examples are probing questions, including when was the last time you loved your hair or your nails? What challenges are you having with maintaining your beard? So on and so forth. So Glory says you want the client to leave feeling like the best versions of themselves. I love that. Go ahead, Glory. Great answer. And leave feeling like they got everything they want. By asking their preferences, you can give the client a service or product that will leave them satisfied. Absolutely. So preferences on what the outcome is that they're looking for is important to gather, and preferences on the environment. What kind of music do you want to listen to? What kind of smells do you like? What kind of light, like does the light above you being really bright bother you? You're looking for more of a spa environment. What is your intention? What do you like? What do you prefer? Because answering those kind of questions will allow you to tailor that service to every client specifically so that they get the best bang for their buck. Gloria, that was an excellent response for preferences. Essentially, no matter what system you use, scale of 1 to 10, what are your likes? What are your dislikes? You want to get preference type of responses from your client within all areas. So within the environment, the music, the smell, what they touch, what they taste, what they see, the lights, what they want their things to look like, what they don't want their things to look like, what kind of profession they're in, what type of style that they like, what type of image are they trying to project into the world. Are they a student? Are they a teacher? Are they a lawyer? Are they a doctor? Finding out what their preferences are and being able to mold them into their lifestyle will help you give them the service they want in the moment, but it'll also help you know what's best to upgrade and what's best to retail to the client. So from there, we have the next person to do analyze. So let's see who's still here. Latanya, you're at the top of my list. So how about you do analyze for me? Perform a needs assessment, discover what the client wants and needs, and start off by assessing the client. Oh, I did assess again. Let's go to preferences. My apologies. We did preference. Lord help me. There we go. Let's do it like that. We're doing analyze. So Latanya, if you can get prepared to do analyze, we are analyzing the client's characteristics. Assess the state of the client's hair, fingernails, skin, or whatever you will be working on. Taking hair as an example, examine its thickness, texture, manageability, and condition. Is the hair particularly thin or on top of the temples? Check for strong hair growth patterns, including unruly cowlicks. And then ask your client what products they use at home and if their products are effective. Anybody have a response for that? Latanya, can you hear me? Okay, so I'm going to go through and do the analyze. So let's say you are an esthetician. If I'm analyzing as an esthetician for my client, then I am going to see what their skin type is as best as I can. I'm going to see what conditions I see as best I can. I'm going to try to get a feel for their hydration level. I'm going to try to get a feel for their overall health based on what I can see. We're making assumptions here. I'm going to see what I can visibly analyze as far as what's touching their face. Are they coming in and they're on their phone? So their phone's sitting on the side of their face. What side of the face is it sitting on? I might assess their the hair, if they have hair on their face, if their eyebrows are properly shaped or could have some maintenance. I'm going to check and see if their skin looks healthy and bright or if their skin looks dull. If I'm looking for skincare and they're coming in for a facial, I want to assess that portion of the client's skin and face. I might also assess the hands and the décolleté. So if they're wearing something that will allow me to see their décolleté during the consultation, I'm going to assess that area. And then if it's available to them, I might offer them to upgrade to the décolleté part of the facial, as opposed to just skipping it all together, because I took the time to analyze the full body and made assumptions and processed the information and recommended the appropriate products and services. If you're talking about a lash extension client, then I may analyze the lash line while talking to them. So what I see, are both eyes pretty symmetrical? Are both eyes, can I see both eyes? Are they both level? Are their eyes protruding? Are their eyes one eye width apart? Are they closer together? I'm going to gather as much visual information as I can before I actually take the client into the room. So I want to analyze and get the appropriate information so that I can make appropriate recommendations. Next, we have lifestyle. We have Erica, you're next. Erica, did you make it to lifestyle?
Yes.
Perfect. So I'll read it. If you want to type it in the chat, feel free. Otherwise, when I'm done reading it, you can jump in and answer your question as to why we would need to review lifestyle. So lifestyle. Okay. Review the client's lifestyle. Ask the following questions about career and overall lifestyle. Do you spend a great deal of time outdoors? Do you swim frequently? Do you work with your hands? How much sun exposure do you get? What is your occupation? And describe your personal style. What are your skin, hair, nail, and nail care habits? And how much time do you want to invest in maintaining your nails, hair, or skin? I would also include, is there a particular budget that you're looking to stay within for your beauty routine every month, 6 months, year? So lifestyle is reviewing the client's lifestyle information, including career. You may go into a little bit of health. You may go into their extracurricular activities, how much sun exposure they're likely to receive, how much environmental factors they are likely to receive, that, so on and so forth. So Erica, if you will go in and answer that for me, why do we need to know the lifestyle?
So especially for aesthetics, you're going to want to know, like, if they're very active and in the gym a lot and they are struggling with acne or, anything really, you can be like, oh, well, you're sweating a lot, so it's producing a lot more oil in your face. And like, even for lashes, are they going to be working out every single day? Are they even going to be a good candidate for lashes? Or, they might not like a huge dramatic look. They're probably going to be, they might want just a little bit more classic because that's just their lifestyle that they are.
Absolutely. I think that's the perfect answer. And the reason you have to ask those questions, even though they may seem silly, is just like you said. If I have a client who does hot yoga 4 times a week, lashes, they'll get them, but instead of discouraging the client, I know that I can now educate the client and say, hey, you're doing hot yoga 3 times a week. That's why your body's snatched. I'm so happy for you. Like, great. That's awesome. I'm glad you love it. With the maintenance of the eyelash extensions, the more we get them wet, the more oil that and makeup that, run into the lash line, the faster they're going to shed and the more potential for that shedding to take place. So I can do one of 2 things. We can continue with the lash extension service and you can commit to a 2-week fill if we find that it's necessary after this first appointment, as opposed to a 3 or 4-week fill. Or I can recommend a lash lift and tint as an alternative service. It is less, you'll have the results for 4 to 6 weeks based on your active lifestyle. You'll still get the lift and the color effect of lash extensions, but because we're not actually adhering anything to your natural lashes, the results will tend to, be nicer longer. Give the client the opportunity to choose. If they still decide to get the lash extensions and in 7 days the lashes have all shed out, you're no longer liable because you educated the client on the fact that based on your lifestyle, it's potential for these things to happen. We talked about it. I set the expectation, they're confident, and then we move forward from there. So you want to make sure that you are asking lifestyle questions to qualify and disqualify different services and educate your client. When you work in the best interest of your client, you create loyalty. And if you want to be successful long term, yeah, going viral, having nice pictures, a big social media all of that stuff is awesome. But ultimately, if you don't create loyalty and trust and commitment within your clientele that you are seeing, then you're not going to get far, because people are not going to come back. And getting paid once is great, but having clients that I can depend on these 40 people to come get a fill or a facial every month, that's going to make me this much money, I can pay my rent. Okay, so we'll move on from there and we'll do show and tell. Gabriella, are you available for show and tell? Type it in the chat. While she's getting together, I will read the next section for show and tell. So show and tell. Encourage your clients to describe styles or services that they like. Monitor the choices to ensure the services are feasible for the client's hair, nails, skin, type of lifestyle, personality type. Many times clients desire a service that they may have seen on a friend or heard on a celebrity getting. And if the desired results can't be achieved, create a plan, offering alternative options, and set future goals. In addition, listening to how the client describes their expectations. If the client says they want their hair short, for instance, does that mean shoulder length short, above the ear short, 1 inch long, all over the head? When the client's bangs are dry, should they be long enough to touch your eyebrows? In order to make sure you understand what the client is actually saying, repeat that information back to them, use specific terms and specific directional terms, and show them where things are. Another good example for that, gotcha. No worry, Gabrielle, I'm going to put you in the background for now until we move on to the next one. Okay, so with that said, I'll do show and tell. So essentially, as a lash artist and esthetician, beauty professional, people are going to come in and they're going to say, this is my favorite celebrity. She is this. I want to look like that, right? And let's just say it's very long eyelashes out to here. That's great. That's what she's choosing. But she also told you in the lifestyle that she is a doctor. So she's operating on people and she's constantly in and out of the surgery room, whatever. You have to make the determination and explain to the client that based on your lifestyle, what you're showing me will conflict with what's important to you and what your lifestyle will allow for you to use comfortably. May I suggest we start here and work our way to that next area, next item, so on and so forth. So you are asking and doing show and tell to essentially take the information that the client's telling you, listening to that information and determining, does it fit within the lifestyle and their natural ability to maintain it? Does it fit? And if not, educating the client on why, making a recommendation, and going from there. Ultimately, if it's safe, sanitary, and effective, I know you've heard me say that, but if it's safe, sanitary, and effective, then at the end of the day, even if it's not best for your client in a professional opinion, as long as it's safe, sanitary, and effective, I'm going to do what the client ultimately asks for. If they complain later on, then I'm going to tell them, unfortunately, the refund policy or the correction policy doesn't apply, because I did advise you that this particular service was not going to be the best fit. And we chose, you chose to move forward with it anyway. So, we're going to have to correct it at your next appointment. But unfortunately, I can't correct it for free. So on, for these reasons. As long as you educate the client in advance, then you're able to you're able to stand on your policies and not lose out on time and money having to refund or correct things. A really good example of that is a client getting a facial, like a chemical peel. They want a chemical peel because that's the latest craze, but the chemical peels you have aren't good for their skin type, right? If they're showing you a treatment that Kim Kardashian got, and they want that treatment and you happen to offer it, but they're not a good fit, it's your responsibility for them to show you where they're getting this information and for you to make appropriate recommendations and outright deny a service if need be. I love it when clients have pictures, because 9 times out of the 10, the picture will show you what it is they're looking for. And then you're able to take that picture and take your client and say, okay, let's use lashes, for example. The client wants a cat eye that they saw on, Pinterest. It's a look. They love the look. But when you look at the client's eye, their eye is very, very small, very tightly closed already. So in your opinion, a cat eye is not going to look best. Well, by doing the other part, let's go back to it. By having a place to actually set up for the consultation and being able to have them try on different strip lashes, you'll be able to show the client visually, okay, this is what strip lashes would look like on you. Here's a clean pair of strip lashes in the cat eye style that I made. You booked volume, so here's the volume version. Allow them to try it on and look and see what it would look like for them, and help them make the decision if that's something that they want to follow through with. We're bombarded day in and day out with advertisements and beautiful people that we see something and we take that in as if I get this service, I will look and feel like them. When in reality, everything is not for everybody. Your job as a professional is to make that distinction. The best way to do that is once you've gathered the information, have them show you what they're looking for, and then tell them how and why and in which ways you can tweak it to make it work better for them. And I guarantee you, 9 out of 10 beauty professionals are not doing that. They're not doing it when you go get your hair done. They're not going to do it when you get cosmetic procedures. They're not taking the time to actually customize the service to you. They're copying and pasting, each person getting the same thing. And for you, it may work, but for the next person, it may not. As a beauty professional, your responsibility is to make sure that the client is accomplishing the beauty goals that they set in place. Okay, the next one that we're going to do is recommendations. So let's do, Miss Gloria, you already went. Violet, have you gone, Violet? While we're waiting on Violet, Brittany, can you please, Brittany Escobar, if you, Brittany Ito Lescari, I believe that's how you say it. I'm pretty sure it's wrong, but Brittany, if you could please put your 4-digit number in the chat, that would be great. Also, Claudia, thank you. You can make a recommendation of what will fit them in their face, eye, and shape. Thank you very much. While I was on that tangent. Yes, that's exactly what the point of recommendation is. The shame of work, but who doesn't want to stop or read anything. Gotcha. No worries, Violet. I'll drop you off and we'll let you back in when we start the next one. Perfect. So Claudia was able to take that one over. You're able to recommend and make sure that the client is getting what is beneficial for them. No, you're good, Brittany. That's what I needed from you, your time clock. Give me just a second. And Claudia, I will use this one for you as your participation. Thank you very much. Perfect. All right, let me read recommendation. Make recommendations as part of the needs assessment. Once you have enough information, ask the client if you may make some recommendations. Before giving any suggestions, wait for them to give you permission to do so. Then base your recommendations on the client's needs and desires. Narrow your selections in keeping with the following criteria: lifestyle, hair, nail, skin type, face shape, and any other characteristics that would impact the client's overall appearance. What I like about the recommendation phase is you can do the consultation in 2 ways, right? You can do a consultation as part of the service that they originally booked, or you can do the consultation as a standalone process, meaning people can book you for a 30-minute consultation session. I'm going to use a makeover, for example, of that, right? If I go in and I booked a consultation and it's just a consultation, I'm expecting my person, my beauty professional, to say, okay, Miss Reynolds, this is your lifestyle. This is the texture of your hair. This is the texture of your skin. This is the type of skin you have. These are the conditions that I see. This is your face shape. This is your eye shape. This is your, the proportions that you're looking at. This is how far and wide your eyes are apart. This is the characteristics that make up you naturally. The enhancement that you're looking for is hair extensions, lash extensions, and a facial with a dermaplaning, right? These are the things that you came in for. I'm going to run through each of those items and say, okay, so let's talk hair first. This is the texture of hair you have. Because of that, these are the styles that I recommend. It's not recommended that you get tape ends because X, Y, and Z, but it is recommended that we go with something like a micro link. There's 2 different styles, and I'll have you do I'll explain both of them, but that's the general recommendation so far. For your hair, micro links, either beaded weft or the individuals. The next is your skin. So you came in, you want to get a facial, and you are dealing with the darkened spots and a little bit of peach fuzz. My recommendation is an advanced facial with dermaplaning and a light chemical peel, and then a series of 5 weekly treatments of exfoliation, mask, and LED. So essentially you'll come in, we'll do an exfoliation, we'll apply a skin brightening mask, we'll remove the mask, we'll do a 30-minute LED treatment. The reason I recommend these services, the dermaplaning is going to remove the top layer of dead skin and the peach fuzz. So it's going to instantly give you a brighter complexion, which is what you're looking for. For the browns, the dark spots, I see that they're from acne and a little bit of sun damage after, analyzing your skin. The reason I recommend the LED and the brightening mask is because those are going to take a lot more time to reduce and remove from the skin. So I think a 6-week session of intense treatments followed by normal maintenance will allow you to see the most benefits in reducing the sun damage and the acne scarring that you do have. And then after that 6-week series, we'll talk about maintenance and further reducing what's showing up. And then lastly, face shape is going to play a big factor in the eyelash extensions that we choose for you. You have a round, fuller face. So you've got a lot of fullness in your cheeks. Your eyes are an almond shaped eye. They sit normal in your scalp, so they're not protruding. They're not deep set based on this area right here. You have a pretty open eye, so we can go with a couple of different styles. My personal recommendation based on your lifestyle, you work in a professional environment, would be to do an open eye. It's just going to make you look bright, refreshed, excited to be at work, even though, who loves it. Or a cat eye, which is going to be a little bit of a darker, sexier style, but based on the hair that you're looking to go with, the skin concerns that you're looking to treat, I think you can really get away with either one of those extension styles. You're just going to have to determine, are you looking for wide and excited and, ready to take on the day, or are you looking for something a little sexier, a little sultrier? Run down that information and then work with the client during the consultation to actually build a plan for them. So the recommend part is one of the most beneficial parts for you and the client, because you're not just recommending stuff to make more money. You're recommending stuff because it's like, hey, this is what you can use. This is what you need. This is what's going to work for your lifestyles based on my professional opinion, based on these things. You're telling people about themselves and characteristics that they may not have put into play. Like most people aren't thinking about their job and their career when they are going in for beauty services. So it's our responsibility to make those connections for them. And that's what the recommendation section is. We're making appropriate recommendations based on all that the client experiences, not just that one moment in time. From there, we have upsell. I'm going to have Kristen. Have you already gone? I think you started us off. Yeah, you did. Kristen, you started us off with assess, and we've already got Claudia. We did Erica. We did Gloria. Okay, everyone else is in the waiting room. So I will do upsell and maintenance and repeat. Claudia, I know you came in, you did one, but if you do want to participate, or go into any of the other ones, feel free. So upsell services. Once you've made the recommendation, you can further upsell the products and the services. Unless a client absolutely does not want to talk about adding onto their services, these recommendations should be part of every consultation for service. For example, almost everyone can use a paraffin hand treatment to soften the skin of the hands, or makeup service after a facial, hair, or nail service to complement a new look and feel. Never hesitate to suggest additional products and services. Be sure to offer 2 or more. They've done a study scientifically, 3 product offerings is the sweet spot. If you offer a client 3 products, they will typically take 1, maybe 2. If you offer more than 3, they'll get overwhelmed. If you offer less than 3, it's a lot easier for them to outright reject the 1. So 3 has been shown to be the sweet spot of product sales. So if you offer 3 products, you lay them out, they're more than likely going to pick up at least 1 of them. Another thing is that I like to think of upselling as an advantage to them and not an advantage to my pocket. So when I'm making that recommendation, when I'm upselling, I put myself in the frame of mind that I'm doing this for the good of the client, not for my bottom line. So if the client has pigmentation, like in our recommend stage, she's told me she has pigmentation from sun damage and acne damage, but she told me she's not using an SPF. It's a no-brainer that we talk about, and I recommend an SPF because that is something that's genuinely going to help the client, as opposed to recommending, in her case, the paraffin hand treatment. She didn't say she was coming in to relax or make her hands softer, or skin was an issue. Pigmentation's an issue. So I'm going to upsell the products and the service based on that particular client. And when you do that, it's called needs-based selling. When you do that, it's a lot more comfortable for you to make those recommendations, and it doesn't come off as rude or nasty to the client. One of the things that I would absolutely do in this profession is prime the client before you ever upsell or do any of that. So when I'm first starting and I ask that client, my consultation, I ask that client, what are your goals for this appointment? What are you looking for? If they say to relax, or if they say like to actually treat something, that's going to vary how I respond. So for example, if a client says, oh, I'm here on vacation with my family, I've been so stressed out from work, I'm having a full spa day and I want to relax. So I booked a facial, massage, waxing, the whole 9. Perfect. I'm going to tell that client, oh, Miss Client, well, I'm so excited that you came in to get your relaxation in. You absolutely deserve to be pampered. A part of my job and a part of my responsibility is to make sure that I'm recommending the right products and services for not only in the salon, but at home. So if there are any particular products or services that we use that you really, really love, and you might want to consider taking it home, like a muscle balm or a serum that we use in your facial, please let me know. I'll be happy to pull it aside and talk to you about it at the end. If there aren't any that you're particularly interested in, I'll put 3 at the front that I think will benefit you, but you're under no obligation to actually get those products. What I did was empower the client to say, I know you're here for relaxation. I still have to sell you product because that's my job and I'm going to do it. But I encouraged her to pinpoint and spotlight what it is that she actually wants to get out of it. So if she doesn't like anything to the point that she wants to take it home, she's just not going to say anything about it. But if she does mention it, she knows that's her saying, okay, well then I want more information about this. Claire's going to talk to me about this essential oil once we're done, but I'm not going to bother them in their service. One thing that irritates me more than anything is if I go get a service and they're trying to sell me, hard sell. I'll tell my esthetician, my massage therapist, I'm in the beauty business. I have my own product lines. I'm not going to buy anything. I understand you have to sell, that's fine. But once I decline, I've declined. Don't keep pushing. Claudia says, so you would target the 3 problem areas that they have and see if they would like extra help in that area. Absolutely. You can inform them on the products and how it can help them reach their goals. Exactly. And make sure to tell them what you're using during the service. Perfect. So you have a client that's coming in for relaxation, right? I'm going to do a little bit in the beginning. I'm going to leave them alone for the rest of the time. I'm going to let them come back to me. If a client comes in and they are in particular trying to treat or work on something, that's when I'm going to do what Claudia said. These 3 products are going to help you with the biggest issues that you told me about. It may be 3 products for one issue. It may be 1 product for each of the 3 issues. It's going to depend on the client. But another great tip is I've asked my clients in a facial, would you like for me to explain the products that I'm using on you as I'm using them? Oh yeah, I would love that. Great. If they're like, oh no, I'm gonna relax and go to sleep and then we'll talk about it at the end. Great. They just told me what their preference is. If they want to talk to me during the facial service because they're learning about their skin themselves, then I'm all too happy to say, okay, this is the key. This is the cleanser that I'm using. This is why I'm using it. I chose it for your skin in particular because of the issues that you told me about and the issues that I see. This is the exfoliator, the issues you told me about, the issues I see. Communication. So Claudia says, yes, communicate at the beginning, set the expectation, and you're able to sell without even trying because you're doing it what's best for the client and what's in their best interest. And remember, this is all in the consultation, right? This can be a 15-minute process at the beginning of a service. Most spas and salons tell their clients to get there 15 to 30 minutes early. This is why. If this is a repeat appointment, then I'm going to run through these 10 steps, but I'm going to do it checking off the boxes. So depending on the client, depending on the time frame, depending on the service, is going to vary how much detail I go into. One of the things that I don't see a lot of beauty brands doing is offering a legitimate paid consultation where I spend 30 minutes to an hour with you setting up your routine, setting up your process. And I may charge $35 for a 30-minute appointment. I may charge $65. You can even brand it or market it as like a makeover service. Like this consultation is going to make over your entire beauty routine from hair all the way down to, your mani-pedi, depending on what license you have. Claudia says you're doing what they're telling you to do. Say they are in control. Yes, you are following the guide that they set, even though they have no idea that you really set the expectation. They're doing what you told them, but in their mind, it was their idea. I gave Claire permission to tell me X, Y, and Z. It was my idea. I'm in control. But in reality, I'm in control because I'm playing on your expectations. I'm playing on your emotions, and not in a manipulative way, but in a way that makes the process comfortable for everybody. 9 is maintenance. Discuss upkeep and maintenance. Counsel every client on the maintenance services, lifestyle limitations. Clients receiving exfoliation, for example, should avoid sun exposure directly after and for a period of time after, depending on the level of exfoliation. And at-home maintenance needed in order to look their best. Let the client know that throughout the service, you'll be educating them on various products that you would recommend for home use if they are amenable to that. And that at the end of the service, there will be an opportunity to really choose the products they need. That's a great way to phrase it. At the end of the service, Ms. Smith, there's going to be an opportunity for you to look at the products that are available to you and allow me to discuss the products that you actually need and that are going to benefit you, taking some of that pressure out. What I love about the maintenance phase and the maintenance conversation is if I tell you in the earlier sections, in the analyze section or in the preferences section, if you tell me like, oh, I prefer not to spend a lot of time maintaining my eyelash extensions, then I know I'm not going to go with a mega volume long set because they're going to have to clean them really well. They're harder to clean the longer they are and the fuller they are. I'm not going to offer them like I said, a mega volume. I'm going to offer them something like a classic, maybe a light hybrid. What they told me in their preferences is going to shape what it is they get because maintenance is a part of that process. So if a client says, well, I want a facial, but I still want to be able to work out because I work out 5 days a week, but she really, really wants chemical peels to lift pigmentation, I have to set the expectation that after a chemical peel, you can't work out for 3 to 5 days, depending on the type of peel, or up to 10 to 14 days. So that may change how and the way the products and the services that the client's willing to get based on that maintenance. So you want to make sure that you explore that with them and you compare it to the lifestyle and the maintenance that they prefer. If someone says they want to spend 15 minutes getting ready in the morning, I'm going to use BB Glow as an example. That's a service that came out probably 4 or 5 years ago, and essentially it was these little ampules that had tinted product in it. So like a tinted hyaluronic acid, for example, you would use a microneedle to push it into the skin, and at the surface of the skin, that tint would actually even out the skin tones. So it was like permanent makeup almost. So if I have a client that's like, I want my morning routine to be 20 minutes. Well, if I'm a licensed cosmetologist or esthetician and I do microblading, I do lashes, I do facials, I do lash lift and tint. For that client who wants a 15-minute routine, I want some of that stuff. Me too. For a client that wants 15-minute routine, instead of eyelash extensions, lash lift and tint might be better. For a client who wants a 15-minute routine, they wear makeup, but skincare is their concern, I might recommend something like the BB Glow treatment, which is going to give them a fresher, nicer, even skin tone as soon as they wake up in the morning. I'm going to make my recommendations based on the maintenance that they want to do and what it is that they're looking for. Kristen, the stuff is actually pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie to you. I trained on it when it first came out because to me it was revolutionary. The problem is the pigment is not such a great ingredient. So I didn't really pursue it because we didn't know at the time what or if there would be any negative implications of using that product, but it's called BB Glow. So BB Glow. They have a lot of different ampules now on the market, but that was the first to kind of come out with it. If you want to look into it, feel free. I did do it. I've done it on myself. I've done it on clients, and it did have a really nice effect. It just made your skin kind of look like how it would look if you had a light filter on, like smoothed out. The coloring changes were a lot more even because you essentially went in with a micro needle and overlapped each section and pushed in that pigment to match the client's skin tone. I'm interested. I'll look into it. Yeah, you should. It's nice. I liked it. And then repeat. The last step of the consultation, repeat, repeat, repeat. Review the information. Talk about the information, reiterate the information, talk about everything you've agreed on, use phrases like what I heard you say, and make sure to speak in measured, precise terms, use visual tools when necessary, demonstrate the intended result, take before and afters, have your clients set up a pre-service, like a pre-consultation review. So like a service review, you can make a little PowerPoint that you send to the clients where it reviews their information that y'all went over, their plan, their goal, their next appointments, their before the services, the after the services, their next appointment, all of the information. You can make a little cute PowerPoint or document, send it over to the client and just reiterate everything that took place. I would especially repeat information that if the client went against what I recommended. So if I recommended they not get eyelash extensions based on their lifestyle and they go ahead and let me do a lash lift and tint, but they refused, they kept the extensions. In that after report, I would include that information. So when they call, and inevitably they will call, you can say, I want you to reference that information. Remember, we talked about this. This is the options that you have. That way you can stand firm on the decision that you made. And honestly, it's very validating when you tell a client, this is what what you should do because of these reasons, and that happens. It's very validating to you as a professional to be able to rely on references to information that you used to explain why they wouldn't get that service. So that is the 10-step consultation process. You as a professional are going to be able to continue a 10-step method like this one, or tweak it and adjust it any way that works for you and your brand. Not all businesses are going to be the same. Not all services are the same. So ultimately, the responsibility is for you to take the why we do each segment and create your version of each one of those consultation methods, each one of those points, in what order you want to do them, where you're going to record the findings, what you're going to require the client to bring to the table, how long it should take, if you're going to charge for it separately. that is your professional, opinion. That's your opportunity to set up the expectation and the standard. But this is the 10-step method that we're going to start utilizing moving forward for every client. So next time we're in the facility, starting Saturday, we'll do it face to face so that you can get comfortable with it. And then Monday, when you're in the facility in San Antonio, we can do it face to face, working on each other so you can get comfortable going through asking these questions. Does anyone have any questions on the 10-step consultation method? Okay, so give me a minute. It's 12:45. We're gonna break till 1 o'clock. I'm gonna adjust the video and stuff like that and pull up the next one.